Oh, hey, y'all. This is Mary Mac. She the only bitch I let hang with me up here. Tell them what you gotta say.
My name is Mary Magdala. I was a disciple of Jesus. I was present at the crucifixion, and I was the first person he appeared to after the resurrection.
Bitch got clout.
I was the founders of the Christian faith, and I was known for my ability in times of difficulty to be able to turn the hearts of the apostles towards the good.
Oh, the good.
Some people think I was a whore.
Misogynist bitches.
Other people think Jesus was my husband.
Oh, feminatic bitches.
I was not a whore.
Pimps up hoes down.
I was an unmarried woman in a town of ill repute.
Ill repute.
And also, I was not the wife of Jesus either.
Oh, I still love you.
But I am pretty sure that I was his best friend. We shared an intimacy that I cannot put to words, except to say that we saw into each other's hearts and were in love with what we felt.
Oh, whoa.
I also knew Judas Iscariot very well.
Ooh, gangster.
He was the most impetuous and moodiest, and yet he was my favorite.
Oh, Tupac!
And in some ways, Jesus' favorite too. Judas was almost an alter ego to Jesus. He was the shadow to Jesus' light. He was the sour to the sweet and the cool to the warm. They often walked together, more often than not arguing. No one could get a rise out of Jesus like Judas could. And I can remember times when Jesus emerged from an argument with Judas positively furious, shaking his head wildly, flicking and snorting, red-faced with exasperation, and he would tell me what they'd been fighting about, still agitated. And inevitably, he'd end up staring off into space, and sighing, and smiling. I think that if someone were to say that Judas was good for Jesus, that they would not be mistaken.
Not mistaken.
When I think of Judas, my heart breaks.
Oh, but Mary Max, if we are all eternal, and human life is only the first mile in a billion, do you honestly believe that God could abandon any motherfucker so soon in the journey?
I don't know. Jesus never talks about it. That's how I know that his heart hurts worse than mine.
Next witness.
Defense calls Sigmund Freud, Your Honor.
Name? Dr. Sigismund Shlomo Freud.
Dr. Freud, would it be accurate to say that you qualify as an expert in the field of modern psychiatry?
Fräulein, I am modern psychiatry.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is boasting.
Overruled.
But a boaster, Your Eminence? Really, it is distasteful.
Sit down, you fool-me.
I'd love to obey Your Grace, but let the record reflect that the prosecution has grave misgivings about this man's alleged so-called standing as a psychiatric expert.
Perhaps a quick jaunt to London for a leisurely perusal of the standard edition of the complete psychological works of Sigmund Freud, volumes 1 through 24, would set your mind at ease.
Perhaps it would, if you were indeed Dr. Sigismund. Oh, yes. Of course. Right.
Dr. Freud, you are in fact the founder of psychoanalysis, correct?
I am?
You maintained a private practice in neuropathology for nearly half a century, is that not so?
It is.
You were on the cover of Time magazine in an issue dedicated to the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century.
I was.
Are you familiar with the case history of one Judas Iscariot?
Most certainly.
Dr. Freud, in your expert opinion, can a suicide victim be pre-certified as psychotic?
Without question, man's instinct for self-preservation is his most supple and reflexive muscle. When that muscle fails, it is because his mind has failed. A decision to take one's own life can only be precipitated by a failure of the mind. An irrational rebellion against man's most basic instinct, to endure and live. Therefore, yes, the victim of suicide must be pre-certified as indeed psychotic.
And are psychotics responsible for their actions?
No, they are not. For example, say I have a bad bout of influenza. Because of my bad influenza, I sneeze rudely but involuntarily in your face. Achoo. The next day you wake up with the same flu. Did I cause your flu? No. My flu caused your flu. I only sneezed because I was sick.
Dr. Freud, in your expert opinion, was Judas Iscariot a psychopath?
Without question,
Explain.
suicide is a direct sign of mental illness.
But what would you say to people who would say that Judas Iscariot became mentally ill after allegedly betraying Jesus of Nazareth? Or, well, was he mentally ill to begin with?
Pre-programmed, yes. You must understand, normal people do not kill themselves even under extreme duress.
And what about people who would say that Judas Iscariot brought about his own mental illness by betraying Jesus of Nazareth and getting accused?
I would say this. Number one, you cannot conjure or bring about mental illness. Number two, any God who punishes the mentally ill is not worth worshipping. And number three, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The one who could have prevented this tragedy was Jesus, not Judas.
But
He chose not to.
But isn't Judas responsible because he did what he did of his own free will?
Fräulein, I once had a suicidal patient leap through my fourth-floor window to her death. She exercised her free will. Did I build her estate for the broken plate glass window she left her? Of course not. My friend Vincent Churchill, who provided me safe haven from the Nazis in 1938, likes to say, the price of greatness is responsibility. I believe firmly in responsibility. So, after the unfortunate woman's death, I exercised responsibility for my greatness by moving my offices to the ground floor. I should think God would have done the same.
Dr. Freud, yes, sorry it was a mix-up before.
Excuse me.
So, Herr Doctor, I must admit I am intimidated to be in the midst of such greatness. After all, you are a genius, yes?
Correct.
An expert?
Yes.
Oh, a big brain?
Unequivocally.
Oh, yes, unequivocally. Very nice word, and it rolls off your tongue so effortlessly. Really, I'm impressed. Oh, a little tired, are we, Doctor? Perhaps a kilo or two of fine-grained Bolivian flake to restore your pep.
Excuse me?
Cocaine, Doctor. Blow, flake, rock. She don't lie, does she, Doc?
What?
Over a 12-year span, you consumed cocaine in what can only be categorized as prodigiously massive quantities, yes?
As part of my research, yes.
Research, yes, and after 12 years of round-the-clock research, you came to the conclusion that ingesting staggering amounts of powder up your nose was perhaps unhealthy.
I was trying to determine its medicinal value.
Is that your real nose?
Your mother did not eat her breast, didn't she? Freud!
Oh, Freud. Yes, forgive me. I made a U-slip, didn't I? Anyways, last question, Mr. Expert Genius. You were an avowed atheist all your life, weren't you?
Correct.
And then you died. I found out what?
I experienced anti-Semitism as a child. It prejudiced me against all religions.
Einstein experienced prejudice as a child, but he wasn't wrong like you, was he? My cousin Magui can't count to 10 without drooling, and yet he wasn't wrong like you either, was he? Was he?
Intelligence and faith are two different things.
Are they, Dr. Freud? Because I would say that you cannot have one without the other, but then I'm not a big genius expert like you, then am I?
I had a wonderful, vibrant mind, and my intellectual curiosity was boundless.
Oh, good day, doctor. You are excused. Go blow your nose.
The same people commit suicide, yes or no?
No. So they are sometimes tempted to murder.
Oh, go murder and call, egghead.
That's enough. Next one.
Your Honor, prosecution now calls Caiaphas the Elder, High Priest of the Sanhedrin, to the stand.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time I must excuse myself from these proceedings until such time as said witness has concluded testimony. Now, before his ascension into the lap of the Lord, Caiaphas the Elder and I ran a very successful chain of kosher pizza parlors up on the Upper East Purgatory, and for that reason, at this time, I must step down. Now, better get your ass up here putting on those glasses and adjudicate!
May I borrow a pen?
Only if I can shove it in your eye.
Be honored. What can I do to prove my sincerity to you? Even though you were always here, I am always here, still I think about you when you are not here, even though you are always here.
Let's witness, please.
Julius, yes, I obey. Later we shall discuss. So, Julius Zabela, may I call you Julius?
All right.
How about Jules?
Yes.
So, tell me, Jay, shall we commence?
That'd be good.
Wise Jay, prosecution now calls Caiaphas the elder, high priest of the Sanhedrin, to the stand. Caiaphas the elder, hello to you.
Hello.
Shalom, as it were.
Shalom.
Now, Caiaphas the elder, perhaps you can clear something up for me. Is there a Caiaphas the younger?
No.
And yet you are the elder?
Yes?
My cousin Ogden Waba, he owes me $5 now. Now, then, Caiaphas, in the Bible, it says that Judas Iscariot made an approach to you, a dark and nefarious approach, to offer up the location of Jesus of Nazareth and to turn him into you and the authorities, correct?
Correct.
Caiaphas, are you saying that it was Judas Iscariot who approached you and not the other way around?
Yes.
Because I saw the film once, Caiaphas, where it was you who approached him.
It was Judas Iscariot who approached me at the temple and not the other way around.
Yes, sir. Even though your statement is indeed confirmed by all 4 Gospels, Caiaphas, I must ask you again. Did you approach Judas Iscariot about betraying his leader and Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth?
No, I did not.
Why not? Jesus was a big headache, did you know? You were legitimately concerned that the hijinks of Jesus would lead to an uprising and a resulting crushing Roman massacre of you and your Jewish people in retribution, weren't you?
I was.
So why not reach out and touch someone, Caiaphas?
Are you asking me why I didn't approach one of the apostles initially?
Yes.
I didn't think it would work.
Why not?
There's an old rabbinical saying, let them kill you, but do not cross the line. Now, during my 18-year reign as the head of the Sanhedrin and guardian of the temple, I dealt with countless rebels, zealots, messiahs, and fanatical believers, and my experiences with these people taught me one thing. They get killed, yes, but as a rule, they do not cross the line.
Cross the line, yes. This means what?
To betray your ideals, your conscience, the law.
Judas crossed that line, didn't he?
He did.
He betrayed the ideal in betraying Jesus, the rabbinical ideal.
Yes.
Do you admire that?
No, I do not.
Why not, Caiaphas? I mean, we all cross the line sometimes, yes?
Well, we are all capable of crossing the line. Thankfully, not all of us do it.
But really, Caiaphas, what's the big deal? So you cross the line. You just throw yourself on the line, yes?
No, not correct.
Why not?
The line comes from God, doesn't it? The line is given. It is not ours to modify. It is only ours to obey or betray.
Caiaphas the elder, when Pontius Pilate first arrived in Judea, he visited you in the temple, did he not?
He did.
And as a show of his force and might, he attempted to place symbols of Rome in your temple, which would have been to you and your Jewish people a great desecration of a holy place of worship, yes?
Yes.
It would have constituted a worshipping of false idols.
Yes.
Caiaphas, when you saw Pontius Pilate attempting this, what did you do?
I told him that he must remove the pagan symbols.
And what did Pilate say to that?
I believe the gist of his reply was, what you gonna do about it, Curly?
And what did you do?
I knelt before him.
Begged for mercy.
No.
Rather than forgiveness.
No! I removed my headdress, bared my throat to him, and bid him slit it.
In other words, Caiaphas, you let him kill you, but did not cross the line.
I guess so, yes.
Judas crossed it though, didn't he?
He did.
Interesting. And by the way, what was the result of your standoff with Pilate regarding the sanctity of the temple?
Pilate backed off.
He didn't put up the pagan symbols, did he?
No.
You held the line.
Yes.
Your integrity castrated him, didn't it? His little Roman balls rolling down the temple hill like withered purple grapes. Yes.
I have no response to that.
Now then, guys, it has been said that in Western society the most prized virtue is honesty, but in Eastern society, which would include Judea at that time, in Eastern society the most prized virtue was and is loyalty. Caiaphas, do you agree with said hypothesis?
Counselor, our Torah has 613 sacred laws. Complying with these laws requires both honesty and loyalty. However, the most important requirement of the laws is obedience to them, and that is what is most prized.
Yes, fair enough, but Caiaphas, in your opinion, was Judas Iscariot honest?
Well, obviously not.
Was he loyal?
No.
Caiaphas the elder, was Judas Iscariot obedient?
Well, to his own will and desires, yes, I believe that he was.
And to service that will and those desires, Judas crossed the line, didn't he?
He served a necessary purpose, but I must admit, as a fellow Jew, he disgusted me.
Caiaphas the elder, I thank you. And what I just add, you are much more handsome in person than they portray you on the silver screen.
High priest of the Sanhedrin. That was a very prestigious and powerful position in Judea, was it not?
Correct.
In fact, except for the Roman governor and King Herod, it was the most powerful position in Judea, correct?
Correct.
Caiaphas, would you mind looking me in the eye when you respond to a question?
My position was very important. As high priest of the temple, I maintained our sacred laws, the sanctity of our populace, and our traditions.
Caiaphas, is there a reason you won't meet my gaze, or is ignoring women simply another component of the tradition you were charged to maintain?
Objection, Julius! The witness is not just a holy man, but a very holy man. The defense counsel is aware she is a juicy gluttonous dish, and the witness is being berated for merely avoiding the salacious temptations of her intoxicatingly firm and perfectly aromatic flesh. Oh, I'm the censure, really.
I withdraw the question.
Sexy vixen, you are warned. Hey, Julius, I'm astonished. She makes my organs bounce. Sorry.
Caiaphas, you stated to the prosecution that Judas Iscariot crossed the line and disgusted you, correct?
Correct.
Well, then maybe you can help me out here because I'm a little confused. Judas Iscariot handed Jesus of Nazareth over to you, correct?
Correct.
You then handed Jesus of Nazareth over to Pontius Pilate, correct?
Correct.
Well then, Caiaphas, what exactly is the difference between you and Judas Iscariot? Because unless I'm missing something here, I fail to see it.
Between me and Judas, there's a big difference.
Caiaphas, you were a rabbi and a Jew. Jesus was a rabbi and a Jew. Is it not considered crossing the line to hand over another rabbi to be killed by pagans?
Jesus was a blaspheming, seditious rabbi, and I didn't know for sure he would be killed.
But the penalty for sedition was crucifixion, was it not?
Well, that was the Romans' charge, not mine.
Yes, and your charge was blasphemy. And what was the penalty for blasphemy, Caiaphas?
Your Honor, I will not sit here and be blamed for the death of Christ yet again.
No one's blaming you for the death of Christ, Caiaphas. I'm simply asking you a question which I'm demanding that you answer before this court now. You charged Jesus of Nazareth with blasphemy. What was the penalty for blasphemy, Caiaphas?
It was stoning, followed by hanging.
So, how can you sit there and tell us that you didn't know for sure that Jesus of Nazareth would be killed?
Jesus could have easily saved himself.
Saved himself how?
By retracting his blasphemous claims. Our Torah has 613 sacred laws, and I can't even count how many which Jesus broke or treated with wanton disregard or disdain. He violated the laws that came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He violated the word of God. He violated the laws of Moses. He consorted with the unclean and women and prostitutes. He performed miracles on the Sabbath. He proclaimed himself Messiah. And he forgave sin. Who is he to forgive sin? Only God can do that. If that's not crossing the line, counsel, then I don't know what is.
It was fulfilling your Old Testament prophecies of Isaiah to the letter.
He's also fulfilling the prophecies of Deuteronomy, which warned against false messiahs and marvel workers. It would have been one thing if he confined himself to the forest as the Baptist did, but at the great temple? I would have been derelict and put a stop to it. It was whipping people, kicking them, it was threatening to destroy the temple, calling it a den of thieves. If someone had done that at your St. Patrick's Cathedral, counselor, would you not arrest them?
And yet, Judas Iscariot, who came forward in the face of this great threat, is, in your eyes, not considered a patriot, but a traitor? A traitor who, in your words, disgusted you and crossed the line. Why is that,
Because Judas handed him over for money.
And why did you hand Jesus over, Caiaphas?
The words and deeds of Jesus were leading towards rebellion. Rebellion under Roman rule was a bloodbath, a massacre, counselor. So I determined that it was best to have one man dead instead of 1,000. That's why.
So you were looking out for the common Jewish man.
I was.
Were you a common Jewish man, Caiaphas?
Well, in the eyes of God, we're all the same.
But how about in the eyes of the common Jewish man? You were seen as an aristocrat, were you not?
I came from wealth.
Would you say you were popular with the common Jewish man?
Well, my job was a sacred one, not a popularity contest.
The high temple taxes you inflicted on your people, would you say that made you more popular with the common Jewish man or less popular?
Objection, Julius. Dixon is badgering.
Sustained.
The exchange rates outside the temple were also extremely unfavorable to the common Jewish man, Caiaphas, weren't they? And the purification pools outside of the temple, where the common Jewish man was required by law to be cleansed before being permitted to enter the temple, the purification pools were not free either, were they?
Cunningham! No, I'll answer. The laws were the laws, and the rates were the rates.
And did you have a sliding scale for the poor?
No.
So, the poor, who constituted a large population of the common Jewish man at the time, remained impure and unclean, and were denied the right of worship.
You've made your point.
No, I don't think I have. Your job did not require you to be popular with the common Jewish man, did it?
My job required me to answer to God.
Did God appoint you high priest?
It was God's blessing that appointed
It
me
was
to...
with Rome's blessing. You were appointed by Rome. And at the end of the day, for the 18 years that you served, that's who you had to answer to. And that's who you were required to be popular with. And the day that you showed Rome that you couldn't handle your own people, well, that would have been the day you'd have been thrown out on your ass.
I belong to God, not Rome! My job was to uphold the 613 sacred laws and to protect my temple and my people, and that's what I did.
Was not Jesus of Nazareth one of your people? Whether he was a Messiah, or a prophet, or a holy man, or a crazy man, wasn't that one of your own? And was it not considered the height of treachery to betray Jewish blood at the hand of the oppressors? Come on, Caiaphas. Tell us that it did not prick your conscience to turn Jesus, a fellow Jew, over to the Romans. Tell us that it did not violate your sense of crossing the line and knowledge of the law. Tell us that at the end of the day, there was a difference in the eyes of God between what you did and what Judas did. This is purgatory, Caiaphas. I've got all day.
In terms of the result, no difference.
And how about in terms of follow-through? Judas recanted and tried to return the silver, did he not?
Did?
And did you, Caiaphas, do anything to try to prevent Jesus' death?
No.
And therein lies the real difference between you and Judas Iscariot, and yet you sit there and you tell us how he disgusted you and crossed the line, and if that's true, Caiaphas, then I wonder how you must have felt about yourself.
Well, that's between me and God.
Well, then for your sake, Caiaphas, I sure hope your God has a more forward-thinking attitude than Judas's God does. Step down, yours.
Caiaphas the elder, Judas Iscariot, approached you, yes?
Yes?
He didn't have to approach you, Caiaphas, and yet he did.
No.
And accepted payment for the betrayal.
Yes. Payment.
Caiaphas, Judas Iscariot did not say, Caiaphas the other, put your money away, mister, this one's on the arm, did he?
Right?
Caiaphas, I think we all understand the precarious position you are in trying to protect your citizens from Roman
It
reprisal.
makes you feel real good to say that, doesn't it? After 2,000 years of persecution and vilification, you finally get around to saying, hey, we know it wasn't you and your people's fault, is that it?
Good Caiaphas the other, I was only trying to make...
Win your case, right? Look, I'll tell you, you people call me. I question and I answer. But please, never say that you understood the position that I others, and because you have no idea the position that I was in. And do not ever try to excuse or forgive me, because I am not interested in your forgiveness. God's forgiveness, this interests me. Yours, I can care less. Why? Because you have no idea. The people who need forgiving are the people who perpetrated the lies and exaggerations that became sacrosanct fact and led to the hatred and violence of the last 2,000 years. They are the ones who need forgiving, and not by you, but by me. Me and my people. It's the writers of the gospel who need forgiveness, not I. I know what is suffering to you. I didn't think so. Judas, that's Frank.
You're very handsome, guy.
And if I am, it's because God made you that way, not because you said so. Good day.
My name is Thomas. The Last Supper, I was the first one to say that I would die for Jesus. And I was also the first one to head for the hills doing 90 when the Romans came and arrested him. And when Jesus resurrected himself, I was also the guy who said I wouldn't believe he was who he said he was, unless I could see with my own eyes the holes in his hands and personally inspect them and touch them. As if I was some qualified medical examiner, like I was Quincy or something. But the thing of it was, Jesus showed them to me. And not only that, he let me touch them. In a ministry based entirely on the virtues of faith, he gave me proof. I had no faith, and he gave it to me for free. I don't know why I got the benefit of my doubt, and Judas didn't get help of his. And I'm not saying this because I like the guy, because personally I thought Judas was a bit of a jerk-off. Actually, fucking dick would be more accurate. Judas was the kind of guy, at least with me, where one minute he's your friend, and the next minute he's making fun of you in front of everybody. He used to like to say the reason Jesus had to do the miracle of the loaves and the fishes was because I had all the food when no one was looking. Stuff like that. But then other times he could be relaxed. Like once we were partnered together, go into town, heal people, cast out demons. And well, I had some problems that day. Everyone I tried to heal ended up getting worse. In fact, this one lady I almost blinded, and another guy started going into convulsions. But Judas fixed it. He healed them. He really did. And that tells me his faith was genuine. And when we got back to camp that night, he didn't tell anybody how I messed up. In fact, he said I did a good job. And I appreciated that. He knew Jesus knew it was bullshit, but I appreciated the gesture. I thought it showed a largeness on Judas's part. And the thing is, Judas was a dick, but he wasn't shallow or petty. He really was pretty large. He wasn't the best, but he was far from the worst. Jesus liked him a lot, in fact. He was right up there in the top 3 with Mary Magdalene and Peter, who, by the way, could also be a bit of a dick sometimes, too. Now, the trick with Peter was, never talk about fish. The guy was crazy for fish. You say something wrong about a fish and forget about it, the guy would go crazy. Anyways, some people say Judas did what he did because he was greedy. Personally, I think that's bullshit. The guy wasn't wandering around the desert for 3 years with Jesus and a bunch of ragamuffins like us because he was looking to get rich. Other people say that the devil got into him. Yeah, bullshit. Judas was loyal to a fault. Obsessively loyal even. Judas would have taken on the devil, and his entire army went against 1,000 if he had to, and he would have done it with some relish. Other people say Judas did what he did because he knew the ship was sinking. So he's trying to get himself a nut to have something to fall back on. Listen, Judas was not a fallback guy. So 100% fall forward. And that to me deserves some consideration. I was not fall forward, not by a long shot, and neither were most of the others. Judas was a dick, but he deserved better. Just one saint's opinion.
Next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, defense would like to introduce Exhibit A14, ancient surveillance footage of an event that occurred less than 24 hours after Jesus' arrest. Lights, please.
Pollock gonna kick your ass!
Pollock gonna see that ass. He's gonna kick it 2 times.
Yo, Pollock's gonna see
this motherfucker's ass is gonna be like, Centurion, it's time to go back!
He's gonna break your ass.
We're gonna take your cattle!
He's gonna whoop your cattle's ass too.
And your sheep! And your land!
Alex gonna cancel your grandmother's wig check, B.
What's all this damn ruckus about?
All hail, Pontius Pilate. Hail, hail, hail.
Is there a problem here?
Judas is trying to recant.
Hold up a minute. Who?
Judas Iscariot from the Jesus Nazareth crew.
This stinky motherfucker right here. Jesus is an innocent man. Please. Stop whooping ass now, sir. He's innocent. Please. Please, Jesus is.
Right. Now, Judas, them, Sanhedrin colors. Yo, hold up a minute. Yo, Kirk. What they call themselves,
Sanhedrin, sir.
Right. Judas. Them, Sanhedrin colors. They paid you 30 pieces of silver. Now, that's farmer's wages, son. That ain't no chicken feed.
I made a mistake. You don't understand, man.
Oh, I understand perfectly. You sold out your brother. Now you feel guilty. So you come in here talking about, oh, it was dark. Oh, I kissed the wrong motherfucker. But we Romans, man. And Romans don't dance, that's all.
I'm recanting.
Oh, you can't recant. Hey, fellas, you remember the last Semite strolled up in here talking about, I recant? Believe me, Judas, you don't want to do that. What you need to do is relax. Take the wifey to a puppet show, something. You know, this ain't nothing but a little PR opportunity before the holidays.
But he's innocent.
Oh, okay. Judas, I don't give no good goddamn about that Jesus boy. He's just a motherfucker that talks a lot of shit. You know, and everyone talks a little shit. And I've been known to talk a lot of shit on them once in a while. But thing is, we ain't trying to lay down no heavy charge on that Nazarene boy. We're just gonna beat his ass down a little. You know, make them Sanhedrin colors happy so we can all live in peace. Don't you want to live in peace, Judas? Ain't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
Okay then. I mean, come on, brother. They like we trying to crucify the motherfucker.
Defense calls Pontius Pilate.
I object. On what grounds? On the grounds that it is objectionable. Overruled. Your Holiness really is objectionable. I sense it, even if I cannot put it into words. Overruled.
Name?
Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate.
Ooh, that's right.
But are you a licensed pilot? Ha! Yeah!
Pontius Pilate. Judas Iscariot came down to your tent to recant his testimony, correct?
On the advice of counsel, I cite my right to plead the Fifth Amendment.
You then told Judas that Jesus was only going to receive a beatdown, correct?
On the advice of counsel, I cite my right to plead the Fifth Amendment.
You bear the responsibility for the death of Jesus Christ, not Judas Iscariot, but you. Isn't that correct, Pontius Pilate?
On the advice of blah, 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 blah. Your Honor, I have a 2 p.m. tea time. Can I go now?
This won't take a long, Pontius.
Judas Iscariot came down to your office and begged you on bended knee to take the money and release Jesus. You refused him. He tried to return the silver, first to the Sanhedrin and then to you. Do you deny that?
No, if I had messed up as bad as that cat had, I would have tried to rebate them ducats too.
So you admit that Judas did try.
No, I do not admit that. Did you hear me admit that?
We all know what happened, Pilate. We just saw the tape.
Oh, there ain't nothing on that so-called tape that implicates me of anything other than trying to find a peacefully non-lethal solution to a potentially incendiary problem.
Right. You were the 5th prefect in Judea, correct?
Correct.
A prefect being what?
Governor, also known as procurator. My official title was hegemon.
Hegemon?
Or translated from Greek, it means excellency.
I see. And you governed or procurated over Jerusalem from 26 to 36 AD, correct?
Longest 10 years of my life.
Why do you say that?
You ever been to Judea, Missy? I mean, it ain't Paris, France. Believe that. Shit. Moses must have read the map backwards, misplaced his bifocal or something. If that was the promised land, them Jews should have held out for a better promise.
You didn't care for Judea.
Oh, care for it. A armpit of the empire, if you ask me. You know, no atmosphere, nothing. Hot, dirty, dusty, flies everywhere. Complete lack of culture and amusements. I would have rather spent 10 years up inside the crack of my ass. You know, Augustus ordered me to keep the peace. I obeyed my emperor and did my duty.
And kept the peace.
Oh, that's right. The Pax Romana, baby. The prime directive.
And under your rule in Judea, how was the peace kept?
By any means necessary.
Violently?
Violently or otherwise. You know, them Jews was free to have it any way they wanted.
According to Philo of Alexandria, who wrote about you in 41 CE, your tenure as governor of Rome was known for its constantly repeated executions without trial, wanton injustices, graft, and ceaseless and grievous cruelty. Care to comment?
No, I do not.
During your reign in Jerusalem, how many deaths would you say you ordered?
A lot. Don't apologize for it either. Them Jews was rowdy.
Rowdy?
Rowdy, as in not docile. As in a motherfucker had to put his foot down.
Oh, you did put it down, didn't you?
Oh, damn skippy I did. Orders from Rome. I mean, what's a brother to do?
During your tenure as governor of Rome, how many crucifixions would you say you ordered?
Oh, a lot less than my predecessor, that's for damn sure. That motherfucker would crucify a semi for yelling fire at a barbecue. Man would go buck wild from jump. You know me, I reduced crucifixions in Palestine by 70%, and now that's documented.
Well, that's lovely, Mr. Pilate, but I'll now direct you to answer the question posed to you.
Which was what?
During your time in Jerusalem, how many crucifixions would you say you ordered?
You know, a few hundred, give or take. Why?
Over 700 crucifixions while on assignment in Judea. Does that sound about right?
Sounds good to me, sure.
And how many did you publicly wash your hands on?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean that other than Jesus of Nazareth, did you ever, in any other instance, publicly wash your hands in an attempt to abdicate responsibility for your actions?
I don't recall.
You backpedaled because you knew you were wrong.
Romans don't have that pedal.
You knew that Jesus was a holy man or a fool, but whatever he was, you believed him when he said his kingdom wasn't on earth, didn't you?
See, now, I don't recall that conversation.
You don't recall that conversation. You know what, Pilate? Why don't you say that again so I can slap a perjury charge on you? You ordered the death of Christ, and then you conned it off on Jesus' reticence and Judas' impetuousness and the politics of the Sanhedrin and the rowdiness of the Jews. Isn't that correct, Pilate?
You know, you can go on squawking if you want to, but my conscience is clean. What you need to do is take it up with them Jews.
Were the high priests authorized to order a death sentence?
No, they were not.
Was King Herod authorized to issue a death sentence?
No, he was not.
How about the Jewish people themselves?
No.
One man, Mr. Pilate, in all of Judea, one man and one man alone had the authority to put another man to death. Who was that man, Mr. Pilate?
You know what? Am I on trial here? Because the last time I checked, it was your client, Judas Iscariot, freezing his narrow ass off in the ninth circle of hell, not me.
My client recanted with a remorseful heart and was ignored.
Well, then you need to take it up with them Jews.